Welcome. I want to read out. I basically wrote this out so I don't lose where I'm going. So forgive me for looking down quite a bit, but it won't. It's just a short little thing because something's been bugging me from a couple of weeks back. So anyway, let's just go for it. I've taken time to make this video as I wanted to collect my thoughts and to be clear in explaining them, so it's not a knee-jerk response. I'm responding to a story of a Labour Party supporter. I'm not sure if the person was a member as well, but they stated that Jeremy Corbyn has made me a Tory. Well, that really got to me, that did. It really did bug me. Because I was thinking about it and I thought, well, if this person was true Labour, they know what's going on. They know what being a Labour member is. You know, you want social justice. You want everybody to get fair crack at a whip. You don't want all the money going to the rich billionaires while they're ripping off those at the lower end of the ladder, as it were. So I just wanted to respond to that. And this is that response. As the person was a supporter of Labour, and I therefore assume a believer in social justice, I would also assume that this person has a true understanding of the impact this government has had on those most vulnerable in our society. Now, although I mention one person here, this goes to anyone who is leaving Labour Party or not supporting Labour anymore and going directly to the Tories or maybe even to another party, but especially go straight to the Tories. This is for anybody and all the people who just want to stir it up from within the Labour Party because of whatever reason they don't like Jeremy Corbyn. Now at this point I'd like to point out that first time round when the elections for the new leader come up, I didn't vote for Jeremy Corbyn. I thought it was a bit left wing and I'm kind of middle of the road myself, but he won. And then he won again when people started challenging him. So at the end of the day, you've got to go with the membership. The membership says this is a man we want to lead the party. Stop bitching about it and get on with doing what we should be doing. You know, winding up the Tories, getting rid of the Tories. So this is for all the people who cause dissent or have left and gone to the Tories or whatever. You've decided to leave and or stop supporting Labour because of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, and now you support the Tories. You know that this government's policies have led to tens of thousands of children going to bed hungry or not having had a hot meal several times a week, and maybe, just maybe, their only hot meal is had at school. And now the government's started to cut free school meals for some of them. Now, you also would know, I assume, that thousands of disabled people have died within 4 weeks of having their benefits stopped after they've been assessed by government appointees who ignore the person's medical history, their doctor, their consultants, all ignored by somebody who I believe probably isn't even qualified to sit in the seat. How do they know more than your GP and your consultants in the hospital? It's ridiculous. So we know thousands of people have died within 4 weeks of saying, no, you're fit for work, there's nothing wrong with you. Now, the vast majority of the disabled have had their benefits stopped, got it reinstated after appeal. Now, I did hear a figure that the government's wasted £153 million on this, so that it's not saving any money, it's costing the taxpayer money. Whether that's the true figure or not, I don't know, but that's what I've read anyway. The one other thing about that, the appeal can take up to 42 weeks, which means you've got 42 weeks. They don't tell you you can go to your doctor and get a sick note. So I know people who have not had no money now for about 20 odd weeks. And I know one person in particular has spent every penny they saved up for their funeral. So now when they die, they've got no way of paying for their funeral. It's down to their kids. They've spent every penny they've had just staying alive. Ridiculous. You will also know that some international bodies have stated they have serious concerns of how this government treats its disabled. You know the disabled have had their benefits cut by this government. You know the Tories are happy to have working class people having to use food banks to feed their family. And one Tory, I will say it, moron, even said, oh, how proud he is that the people who've got money are actually giving food to these people to help them along. It shows the true British spirit. No, it shows that the government that's running this country want us to work for slave wages. If they made the governors pay a decent working wage and scrapped the 0 hours contract, they wouldn't need food banks. If you stopped austerity today and didn't give trillions in tax rebates to rich people who's going to give it back to you in support to allow you to keep buying elections, if you stopped all that, these people could have a decent wage and wouldn't have to go to food banks. That's the fact. We know. These people who are getting back to the people who are moving across. You know how many people have been made homeless because of this government's policies. Sleeping on the streets. You know how many people, or you know thousands of people have had to make the choice over winter. Old age people who's had to make the choice. Do I heat or eat? You know that's an issue. If you're a true Labour member, or if you were a true Labour member, or if you were a true supporter of the Labour Party, you know all these things because you should have been fighting against them. By the way, 0 hour contracts, if Labour would have won, they wouldn't exist anymore. But the Tories refused to get rid of them. Why? It lets their donors and patrons pay crap money to people. And that crap money, what they don't have to pay them, goes back in the Tory coffers, doesn't it? Up and by the next election. That's another story. You know, the Tories have created the awful bedroom tax while claiming thousands a week from the taxpayer to pay for the second, third, fourth, fifth, umpteenth home. Why is it Tory MPs can take £14 a week off somebody who's just happened to have a spare bedroom because their kid has just moved out? Yeah, take £14 a week off somebody who's disabled on benefit. Take £14 off of them for a bedroom tax while you've got mansions and loads of other properties, but you're charging the taxpayer to keep your roof over your head. You to say it's disgusting is beyond words. You know that the Tory party have taken from those least affordable to give that money in tax breaks for their friends, their supporters, and especially their donators. So they're taking it off of those who can't afford to have it taken from them. They're borrowed, but this government has borrowed more money than any other previous government, and yet we're supposed to have austerity. Who's suffering? Not the rich. That's who's not suffering because their income's gone up. But everybody underneath that have got less. All the working people are getting less than they did before this lot come in. This is the own facts on the telly. Because I watched a documentary, I don't know if it was Newsnight or one of them programs a couple of years back, where it said 95% of the population of this country are worse off. The top 5% have actually seen their billions or millions turn into billions. They've actually seen the top 5% who own 95% of the wealth have actually seen their income grow, while the rest of us have seen it diminish. Now, I'm not making this up. It was on the telly. It's statistics by an independent body. You know, those who have left Labour to go and support the Tories, you know that they are starving the NHS with a view to sell it off. Let's face it, they've sold everything they can get their grubby little hands into. You know all this and much, 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 much more. And yet you say, you have the audacity, the cojones or whatever you want to call it, to stand there and say, Jeremy Corbyn has turned me into a Tory. Well, if you can support the Tories now and their atrocities, let's not mince word, that's what I call them, atrocities, that's what they should be called. If you can support all that, and you know all this, and you can move over to them and support all that, what kind of person are you? What does it say about you as a person? Oh, I don't like one person, so I'm going to change and start supporting the others who are, are mistreating 90% of the population of this country. Yeah, you're going to move across because you don't like Jeremy Corbyn. You're going to support. You're now a Tory. Well, there you go. Maybe, just maybe, You're letting the world see the real person that you are, not the play person that you've obviously been pretending that you're a decent person. You support social justice. You don't want the Tories to start destroying those on the bottom end of the ladder. That you're not pretending anymore. You're not playing that game. You're showing your true colours. That's what you're doing. And if I have one wish right now, I wish that the person who started this ball rolling and everybody who starts dissent like that, I hope Joe Public gets to find out who you are, and I hope Joe Public knows who you are. And I hope Joe Public never forgive you. Ever. Because you don't deserve it. You're a waste of the oxygen you're breathing. You're stealing oxygen off of decent people as well as the little few pounds they've got. You're supporting a party that does that. Happy trails. Bye-bye.